I'm Liam.
I'm Wayne.
You're listening to In Film We Trust YouTube.
A place where we post clips from our recent episode.
All links down below in the description.
And now, on with the show.
Safe, starring Julianne Moore. Definitely not Wayne.
Yes.
The 2012 one, starring
Jason Statham. That one involves New York cops, it's got Russian mafia, and I believe the Triads. Absolutely nothing like this one.
So they've just threw all continental gangsters in there.
Basically, all the kind of cliched movie villains are all in that, but they're not in this at all.
But have you seen the 2012 one?
I haven't, no.
No, neither have I.
No, I've not read glowing recommendations for it either.
So Todd Haynes.
Yes.
We've mentioned before, we mentioned in the Gus Van Sant episode, this new queer cinema movement.
Yes.
Todd Haynes also came from that. He's probably most familiar to audience is the director of Carol.
Yes, the 2015 film.
Starring Cate Blanchett.
Cate Blanchett,
the lesbian couple from the Patricia Highsmith novel.
I think it was based on a novel,
I think the novel was called Salt.
Salt. Okay, then.
Bit of a different title.
Yeah, it was her and Rooney Mara.
Yes.
That were both in it, yes.
So we had different opinions. I really liked the film.
Yeah. I was not the biggest fan. I just didn't find the characters very interesting.
No.
That was my problem. And as it went on, it was giving them conflicts, but I felt I had no real reason to get into what they were going through. That was my issue with it.
I've got to say, it's a film I've only seen once. I really liked it the first time. I've never revisited it for a second viewing, so can't give you much in depth there, Wayne.
No, but that's Carol. Probably his most mainstream film.
Mainstream, yeah,
yes.
I'd say so.
But like you say, yeah, the new queer cinema movement, along with Gus Van Sant, also specialised in characters whose basically their identity and especially their sexuality mark them as outsiders.
Would that be because it's new queer cinema, Wayne?
I think so, yeah.
Is that why it would be sexuality?
Yeah. Also kind of similar, when we talked about Red Rocket, because Sean Baker, he specialised in the kind of individuals on the fringes of society. So, similar kind of thing there.
I can definitely see Sean Baker existing in 90s indie, can you?
I can't. It almost seems like he was born into the wrong decade to make movies, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's definitely not Jason Statham safe, is he?
I can't see him ever directing a Statham action film.
So this film, budgeted $1 million.
Yes. Modest to say the least. Stars Julianne Moore. Her first lead role, I believe it was.
First lead role. Have you ever seen the Wayne? And I was actually familiar of a film before this she was starred in, Shortcuts by Robert Altman.
No, I've heard of Shortcuts. I haven't actually seen it.
So this film's 95.
Yes.
Shortcuts 93, 2 years prior. Very, very good. Tom Waits stars in it.
Wow.
I love Tom Waits.
I like Tom Waits. Tom Waits is great, yeah.
Is it the gruff growl?
It is the gruff growl, yes.
But Shortcuts was based on Raymond Carver's short story collection. So that's 2 years prior to this. 2 years after, Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. Love that film.
Year after Boogie Nights, Big Lebowski.
She had a great 90s.
That's a great 90s,
What a great breakout decade for her. And she's never really been out of film since then. She's never really had any kind of lull. She's always been busy.
No, I saw there was a lot of comparisons, apparently, between this film and, can you remember, she was in a film, I can't remember the director, Still Alice.
Yeah,
when she had dementia.
2014, that was the one she won her Oscar for.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a lot of comparisons between these two films.
Oh, because it's to do with kind of deteriorating health.
Yeah. That's very superficial. The style of this film is very different to Still Alice.
Alice looks like it has more, it's got brighter cinematography, for example. It obviously filmed on a higher budget. So aesthetically, they're not that comparable, I would say.
I like how you say brighter cinematography, because this cinematographer, Alex Neponevsky, I think that's correct, Wayne.
Possibly.
We're Scottish.
We'll say it's as close as we're going to get.
Yeah, it is close as we're going to get. Who actually, I think, I may be putting words into Todd Haynes' mouth here, but I think one of the reasons is Alex was quite cheap to hire.
Well, when you're on a $1 million budget, you've just got to make do, so yeah, that would have made sense. Was he not a big name at the time?
Well, Todd Haynes was actually impressed by Alex Noponesky's style in Poltergeist 3.
Okay.
Now, there's two films you didn't think would go together.
No, I've seen the first Poltergeist. I've not seen any of the other ones.
I give up after the first as well.
Yeah, is Poltergeist 3, did it become more cheapy like a lot of horror sequels do?
I think so. Did you like the first one?
I did like the first one.
I really liked the first one.
The first one was really good.
Wayne, who's the director?
Oh, are we going to get into the controversy?
We got into trouble on here once on Twitter.
Yeah, you posted something and folk freaked out.
Yes.
We're not going to get into that, but with Tom Haynes, did he do Poison before this?
Todd Haynes was Poison. That was another short story collection by, I think it was based on Jean Genet, the French writer.
It was Jean Genet,
the controversial French writer.
Is there any other type of French writer?
Well, yes. It's the French, Wayne.
But this was like a series of, it wasn't like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
No, they're essentially short stories.
Was it 3 short stories that have some kind of link between them.
I think so. It's almost an anthology, isn't
yeah,
it?
but Todd Haynes largely made his career through short films, 70s and 80s.
The Karen Carpenter story, Wayne.
That would have been the most...
1987. I love that. I love how he made this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, so he's chronicling pretty much the later years, almost
Yeah.
the decline of Karen Carpenter. Karen Carpenter, obviously the lead singer, the female singer of the Carpenters, the pop group from the 70s.
Tragic figure.
Yep, she suffered from anorexia.
Yeah, back when it wasn't a very well known or very
Right.
well understood condition.
So Todd Haynes' interesting way of chronicling this was by telling the story through Barbie dolls.
Yeah, I remember I looked this up on IMDb, and it's all done through Barbie dolls. I was like, that's different, I guess.
That's an interesting way to take.
I would never have thought to do it like that.
I think there's archival footage. There was Nixon in there playing the piano.
It's got archive footage as well.
There's archive footage.
Okay.
Yeah, we deviate from the Barbie dolls a little
Yeah,
bit.
but like we say, people who are almost marked as outsiders, because I think with Karen Carpenter, I think she was just like hounded in the press about her weight, even though that made absolutely no difference to who she was as a performer.
Well, it's that duality. She's a very, very like mega pop star of her day, the 70s, isn't she? Yet she's also suffering and she's declining. And it's that duality between the expectation, the illusion versus the reality, which I think this film, Wayne, Safe, deals with the illusion and the reality.
Yeah, and I think it very much does, because
Exactly.
the kind of crux of this movie is Haynes was learning about what's called environmental illnesses, which is a term you'll come up quite a lot. 1991, he was especially interested in New Age healing practices.
Yes, and I think these kind of came about, well, obviously it was a 70s movement, wasn't it? The whole New Age
Yes,
thing.
it was.
But obviously, there's a lot of allegorical elements to this film. They're going to want to place it in the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah, which
of
is
the
partly why the
1980s.
movie is set in the late 80s. Yeah.
I don't think that was a major theme, Wayne. I don't care what Todd says. Fuck Todd. I don't necessarily think that's what the major theme of this film was.
Okay, well, it's like you say, it is very heavily, you'd say, metaphorical, very heavily allegorical as well.
It is very heavy allegorical.
He also did a lot of research into people who advocated what's called self-love. There was a woman called Louise Hay, and she became very famous, or you could say infamous, because she claimed that one treatment for AIDS was simply self-love.
Do you know what, Wayne? Mm-hmm. We'll get to this later, right?
Uh-huh.
That we like to say this, we set things up for later. But I think if Todd Haynes maybe done a little less research into self-love, this film maybe would have been a little better.
Ooh!
So they were setting it up.
That's a burn right there.
It is a burn, Wayne.
Like I say, we will get into it. Interesting fact about Julianne Moore, not only was this a first lead role, in 2003 is when she recorded the DVD commentary for this film.
Oh.
Did you know when she recorded that,
Yes.
that was the first time she'd ever watched the whole film?
That was the first time.
First time in its
What, does she
entirety.
have like that Johnny Depp syndrome where you just like have a panic attack if you watch yourself on
Possibly
screen?
Paul Walker had the same thing. They just don't like to see themselves on screen. Or maybe she just, as her career really took off, she maybe looked back at it as more of a minor film in her
'Cause
filmography.
I'm trying to think, how old would Julianne Moore have been in this film? What, 95? She wouldn't have been very old.
No, would you
Early
say-
to middle 30s?
the youngest, maybe late 20s.
She's maybe 60 now. I don't want to put...
I don't think so. I think she's a bit younger than that.
she's a bit younger, right?
But yeah, it would have been round about then.
Because she's been like a top star for quite a long time
Yeah,
now.
like I
hasn't
say,
she?
she's had great consistency, not just in indie films, but in obviously big budgets when she did things like the Hunger Games films, for example. She was
Well,
in those.
yeah. You do that for money, though, Wayne.
Yeah, you do. Those are your money
You're
projects,
not
yeah.
doing that for the artistic
Because
prestige.
Philip Seymour Hoffman was in as well, and
Was Philip Seymour Hoffman in the Hunger Games? I've never seen the Hunger
They were
Games.
among his. I've seen a few of them. They were among his last films released.
Right. Gun pointed at you, Wayne, right?
Whoa!
It's going to go bang if you tell me a wrong answer.
All right.
Have you seen the Hunger Games, but not Battle Royale? If you have not seen Battle Royale, but seen the Hunger Games, I'm going to shoot you.
I've seen Battle Royale. I've seen both Battle Royales.
I've never saw the second.
No, the second one's not very good.
So do you get to shoot me now?
I bloody hope so. After that,
Did you like Battle Royale better than
li-
Hunger Games?
I did like Battle Royale.
Yes, very much so.
The first one's a very good film, very clever premise.
Tarantino says Hunger Games is a rip-off of Battle Royale. Do you agree?
I don't know how you can't agree, really.
Yeah, well,
It's the parallels are way too clear. But it's an influence, you could say. Also, but back to Safe anyway, very highly acclaimed. The Village Voice actually said it was the best film of the 90s. Now, when you think the caliber of films that came out in the 90s, you would say this was the best. I'm going to say right now, I do not agree.
I can tell you my favourite film of the 90s.
Goodfellas.
Yes.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
Right at the beginning.
Anybody who picks Safe over Goodfellas is lying. They're just flat out
That's
lying.
very good. Mine would be probably Pulp Fiction, maybe.
Ooh, okay, why Pulp Fiction over Goodfellas?
Maybe I've seen Pulp Fiction more. I've only seen Goodfellas once, and it was quite a while ago.
You've only saw Goodfellas once?
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. I think I was.
God, no, I should have had the gun out with this question.
I think I was still too young to watch it at the time, because it's an 18 technically, isn't it?
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
I was probably too young at the time. I think it just came on TV.
Oh, so you're one of them, because there is a little deviance there between Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. A lot of people prefer Reservoir Dogs. You're a Pulp Fiction
I'm more
guy.
Pulp Fiction guy, yeah.
So
I think
why
it's
is that? You tell me.
I think it's funnier. I like
Yeah.
the dialogue a lot more. Samuel L. Jackson is just fantastic in it. The McDonald's conversation as well, of course.
What, you like Royale with McCheeses?
I like the conversation of Royale with cheese more than the tipping
Yeah,
conversation.
you've not been to Amsterdam.
I have been to Amsterdam.
You have? Did you get a Royale with
Oh no, that's
cheese?
Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd had a McDonald's in Paris, Royal with cheese, and you can get beer in the McDonald's in Paris. I've been
You
there.
can get beer in
Actually
Paris.
can. 1664. I've actually been
Shame
there.
you don't like beer.
Not with my McDonald's.
Well,
Also, do you know someone else who highly acclaimed this film?
Tell me.
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven?
He actually called it the scariest film of the year.
yeah, see, there's a lot of hyperbole when it comes to certain films, and I don't think it necessarily fits. And I think a lot of people say these things. I'm not putting words. I'm not suggesting Wes Craven in this aspect, but I've understood. I watched, I think it was the New York Times critics picks, and it was A.O. Scott. He was also saying the scariest horror film or something. I think these people are up their arse. They're lying.
Do you think they got caught up in a hype, maybe?
No, I think it makes them sound clever, Wayne.
Or what, when they praise a kind of underground, understated film, maybe?
Because it's all about subtext.
Yeah.
And because they're the chosen ones. They understand all the subtext. They understand what all the hidden messages are. So therefore, it's scary to them because they're the only ones who understand it.
Because they pick up on the metaphors, whereas us
Yes.
lowly plebs don't.
Exactly. Because would you say it's the scariest film ever?
I don't see it scary at all. I wasn't scared at any point.
I
I'm
mean,
not sure in what manner I was meant to be afraid.
There's an eeriness. I'll give it that. There's an eeriness
Right.
that pervades it.
You can call it eerie, but not scary.
Do you know what I would call it, Wayne? Call me a dick here.
Well, we'll see, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Right?
David Lynch light. David Lynch
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, no, I agree with that totally.
We're dealing in Lynchian tropes, but it's diluted a little bit.
I have noted the word Lynchian several
It's
times.
quite Lynchian.